I am now 51 years old, and about 2 months ago I ran my first 100K trail run, very slowly, but I finished it injury-free. I did part of it in huarache sandals, sort of a bare toes run for about 17 miles, and the rest of that run was in minimalist trail shoes in a triple wide size that weighed just over 3 ounces. So I went out as close to barefoot as I could get, and I've got a long ways to go. I've got some forefoot pain in my right foot, a little bit less arch in the right foot than the left. But 5 years ago I had broken the tibia, my right ankle, and on the other side of that same ankle 3 years ago I had a stress fracture to the fibia. So I've come a long ways, got a long ways to go, and I've been learning from the experts on how to rehab my feet, strengthen them, and how to increase performance and at the same time prevent injuries. So quite a bit to cover. Let's just dive right in. To start out, I'll roll my feet on a golf ball. Golf balls were never of much use to me until I started doing this. It's hard to do too much of this, but back and forth on the golf ball, left and right, and you can pick any spot on your foot and put extra pressure on it. I try to do 2 or 3 minutes per foot, really working that golf ball hard into the bottom of the foot. And of course, working both feet each time. This allegedly helps the myofascia, the fascia in the feet all the way up into the core, sort of come awake each day. So I like to start the day with this particular way to wake up my feet. For the next way to loosen up the feet, simply stand on one leg, pick up the other foot, and shake it out. Relax that foot as much as possible and shake it out for about 30 seconds. You want to do that with each foot. Simply stand up strong and straight, put one foot behind the other, and take the back foot and spin your knee in a circle about 20 times to the right. Then switch it and go 20 times to the left, and then do the other foot. The next exercise is very simple. Put your hands on your knees and spin your knees in a circle about 15-20 times to the left, and then about 15-20 times to the right. All these are done barefoot, are best done barefoot. The next one's a little bit tricky. I just call them the Elvis loosening drill. What you're going to do is sort of spin your knees inward on an opposite rotation. So it kind of goes like this. Once you figure it out after doing it slow, then you can speed it up, and you do about 40 or 50 of these. And after you're done with those, you then spin your knees to the outside. First one, then the other, so they're sort of rotating. Best is just to show you. Okay, for this next drill you start off flat on your back, pull one knee up, pull your knee back with your hands as far as you can get it with your back still flat on the ground. And we're simply going to make circles with the big toe. Okay, so I'm going to go in the circle 25 times to the left, and then 25 times to the right. It's harder than it looks when you start out. And after that, we're going to do foot flexes. 50 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to about 50 At first you may not be able to do that. And then of course the other leg. For this next exercise, you're going to take a strap of some sort, an old belt or whatever, and put it around the ball of your foot. You're going to take the leg not in use and put that knee up as so, and then you're going to relax your foot, your left foot, and pull back on that as hard as you can for about 60 seconds. Now the idea in all these exercises is to only go into productive discomfort. You need to push a little bit to grow, but you don't obviously want to get into any setbacks or injuries. So productive discomfort. All right, after you get 60 seconds in this position, you're going to move the strap to the middle of the foot, completely lock the knee straight, and for 60 seconds you're going to pull down and back, keeping your lower back square and flat on the ground at the same time. You'll feel that in your hamstrings. A great stretch. Good for the Achilles. For the remainder of these exercises, I'll be standing up. What you want to think about for these is keeping your lower abs kind of firm, tight. Imagine an Olympic gymnast. You want to have a strong, straight core and back. Think about keeping the crown of your head reaching towards the sky to help straighten up that back. Breathing deep into relatively tight lower abs. Before, during, and after these strengthening exercises for your feet, it's a good idea to do some barefoot jumping jacks, some barefoot jump rope. Try to concentrate on keeping the hips level and square. The tool I'm using for this next set of exercises is called the Bob Calf Master. I'm getting a lot more use out of it now that I've got some trekking poles. Okay, with the knees relatively locked and the toes over the end of the bob, you simply rotate the bob forward until your toes touch the floor and then go back. Now I'm using these trekking poles to keep balance. I'm not leaning on them, just keeping my balance, just being safe. I generally do 80 of these. You work your way up. You can work your way up pretty quick. I'll do 80 like this, and then turn the feet and work those ankles at an angle to your comfort level. I usually do 20 like this, and then another 20 this way, and at the end straighten back up and just lean into a nice long stretch. Part 2 of this exercise is to simply flip this around and repeat the same exercises. I recommend everybody have a Bosu ball. There's all kinds of things you can do with these. Simply balance on it barefoot, one leg at a time. Gets a little more tricky that way. You can adjust the amount of air in the ball, obviously. If you use trekking poles, it's a lot safer. Just for balance, not for leaning. But there's all kinds of things you can do with the Bosu ball. Okay, now we're going to kick this up a little bit, make it a little more difficult. This may not look difficult, but it gets a lot tougher as you do these exercises with the heel lifted off of the ground. Okay, so I'm going to stand on one leg, and then I'm going to get up on the ball of my foot with the heel about an inch or two off the ground. So ideally you want to balance on the ball of your foot with the heel off of the ground, starting out for at least 60 seconds per foot. And then we're going to start in with the slant boards. Okay, so with the slant board, there will be 4 different angles that we can work the foot. We're going to start out like this, and I'm going to lift my heel and then stand up. It's important to straighten the knee, keep the heel up off of the slant board, and only use the poles for balance. Now, ideally, I want to do this for at least 60 seconds per foot. Just like that. Now, as you get better at this, then you start, as you're keeping your hips square and level, you're going to take the foot that's not in use and lift it straight out to the side by a couple feet and then back. So you start incorporating that into the exercise. And then, while keeping that heel up, balanced at the angle, with minimal support or use of the trekking poles, and you're going to start bringing leg lifts into it. Nice and slow and controlled. Okay, so obviously you're going to do that with each leg. You simply flip this around, repeat the exercise. Remember, with the knees locked, heel up off the ground, hips as square and level as you can get them, and again, adding in the extra other leg motion as you get better at it. Of course, the obvious other 2 angles to work are sort of an uphill angle heel up, and the downhill angle. These are great exercises to do while you're maybe watching the news or a documentary video or something worthwhile. Okay, the next great tool is an isokinetics wobble board. I'm still kind of a rookie, so I'm using the easier setting. Simply place this on the ground, and after you've gotten pretty good on the slant board with the heel raised, you then start doing the same exercises on the wobble board. So, plant the ball of the foot, lift the heel, and straighten the leg, and balance on that wobble board with minimal assistance from the trekking poles. Ultimately, you want to be able to do these exercises without the trekking poles and incorporating the extra leg motion of the the leg that's not really in use. So of course you do both legs. Another great exercise to do barefoot is in-place running, with the idea of getting the knees up as high as possible and trying to get the feet to touch down in about the same place each time. So here we go. With a strong posture, crown of the head up, tight abs, deep breathing into the lower abs. This helps teach you to lift your knees, drive your knees forward when you're running. It's really important to not push off the ground so much when you're running as it is to pick up your feet and fall forward. Okay, even though it's snowing and cold outside, still getting a pretty good workout indoors. And after my last long run, it was a 12-hour loop course, my right foot, the right ball of my foot was aching quite a bit, pretty much the whole day. And one of the other ultra runners recommended yoga toes, yoga sport toes. So I've gotten a set of these and I've been using them. I like them. The easiest way to get them on your toes is to put a little bit of water or better yet, some skincare lotion on your toes, and simply slip them on. They recommend only about 10 minutes for your first wearing, although I did about a half hour to 40 minutes. Pretty quickly I was up to a couple hours around the house in these per day, no problem. You can sleep in them, but they sure don't hurt. They do seem to be helping. And what I'm using on my feet here is a plant-based product, Burt's Bees hand salve. I recommend these types of products to take care of your skin, and not petroleum jelly. You want to use something that something that you could eat, because your skin does absorb and get it. Your skin will absorb this lotion, and it ends up in your bloodstream. So think about what you're putting on your skin. But why am I confident in these ideas? They simply come from some of the best minds in pain-free living, pain-free running, endurance sports, and so forth. A lot of information was pulled from Peter Goskew's book, Pain Free. Lots of great stuff in here. Head to toe, how to eliminate pain. So several of his lower extremity exercises I've included in this video. Danny Dreyer, Chi Running, he is one of the masters at coaching injury-free running, and I've incorporated some of his loosening drills into this video. Born to Run had mentioned Chi Running in his book. This is what inspired me to go to the vegan diet, learn how to run 50 miles in huarache sandals, and so forth. And as I'm trying to go from 100K to the 100-mile level, and at the same time I'm dealing with some irregularities in my right foot versus the left, and some foot pain in one foot. I'm incorporating some great ideas from Eric Orton's new book, The Cool Impossible. So hopefully his ideas will help take my running to the next level, and hopefully some of these ideas can help you from wherever you are starting. The exercises that include ski poles and lifting the heel up off the ground, that stuff comes from Eric's new book. He obviously coaches doing all of these things with completely bare feet, no socks, no shoes, of course. And he's got some interesting things to say about athleticism being all about awareness. And it's important to realize that the feet are so sensitive, because we're supposed to be taking that input and properly reacting to the environment. So Eric teaches us to kind of lock those knees and work off the ball of the foot to help fire all the muscles up into the core. And my hope is that that's going to help fix my foot pain and give me more strength and more power to run further and faster.